Welcome to the ET302 video for how to the DC power supply lab. Okay, here I am in Multisim, and I've downloaded all the files from Canvas to the desktop or somewhere where you could find them. And this would be the first circuit that we have in our lab. It's AC signals and DMMs part 1. And what we're going to do here is we're going to use our virtual DMM to measure an AC source. So this would be a typical wall socket kind of voltage. So let's start it. Whoops. And open up our meter. And we have 120 volts RMS. Our DMMs measure in RMS. Okay. For our oscilloscopes, we can measure peak to peak in several other ways, but our DMMs measure in RMS. So our first would be, we need to record this 120. Our virtual DMM is 120. When we go to DC, we're going to get essentially 0 because we have a sine wave that goes positive and negative, and they're going to average out to 0. So you can't measure AC on the DC rating. So our DMMs measure in RMS. Okay, here we are at our half wave rectifier circuit, part 2A. So let's open up our scope, turn on the power. Alright, so this is a typical half wave. We see we have one diode. We have our transformer 1-to-1, and we're using a center tap here, but we're not using the tap, so it's the same as a straight through. So let's go ahead and turn off our output, and let's turn on our input. So here we have essentially, let's go ahead and see if we can trigger this. There we go. And we have, if I were to use my cursor, and we have about 20 volts. 10 up, 10 down. Here we have 10 volts peak, and we have 10 volts peak and a minus peak. Okay, so now let's go ahead and turn him off, and let's take a look at our output signal. And here we have a typical, let's go ahead and move that over, there we go. We have a typical half wave output. Okay, so this lower sine, portion of the sine, has been rectified and reversed, and we want to know, we want to level the positive peak. Well, that's a positive peak there, and we want to know one cycle. So one cycle goes between here and there. And let's go ahead and make that easier to see. Let's go ahead and make that yellow, and I'll show you how to do that. So turn it off, right click on the wire, segment color, choose a color, okay, restart it, and we should get a different color. So that's the way that you choose colors in Multisim. Good. Okay, let's do part 2B. Let's start it up, and what we have here is a full wave bridge. This is a bridge diode setup. And this is the typical DC power supply that we'd see. So let's go ahead and turn on our scope. And let's single it. Okay, so you see our sine wave. The red one is our input. Okay, so let's turn him off. But what you see here is we've got our positives. And what happened because of our diode setup, we've taken this alternation and we flipped it. So now we have a full wave, full voltage output. So let's turn off him and let's spread them out a smidge. Good. And let's go ahead and let's change him to yellow so we can see him better. So right click on your wire, segment color, pick something from the wheel, turn it back on, and now we have yellow. Okay, so this is a full wave, and so we go, here's a full one period, okay, and that is a good full wave output.